At our museum, Asia begins in Japan and goes all the way across the Middle East as well as North Africa. We signed a memorandum of understanding in May of 2025 to work with our colleagues in Al-Ula. It's a really interesting and promising and important project, which will focus on Dedan, the ancient site, an exhibition organized around a monumental statue that has been excavated recently in Dedan to do conservation research, bringing the extraordinary pre-Islamic legacy of Saudi Arabia to the American public. This project will culminate in an exhibition that will take place probably in 2029. My name is Chase Robinson. I'm director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of Asian Art. At our museum, Asia begins in Japan and goes all the way across East Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, as well as North Africa. So we look after America's collection of Asian and Middle Eastern art. It's a great pleasure for us to be collaborating with our colleagues in Al-Ula. We signed a memorandum of understanding in May of 2025. And that agreement to work with our colleagues in Al-Ula is really founded upon many years of relationships with the kingdom. We did a really important show called Roads of Arabia in 2012, 2013. Close to 300 objects from Saudi Arabia came on tour, and we shared with the public. And that provided an opportunity for the American public to learn a great deal about Arabia, including pre-Islamic Arabia, areas about which the American public is typically underinformed. So it was a really important, very successful show. And then in 2018, 2019, we appointed our first ever curator of the ancient Near East on a permanent basis. And she's been doing really important work in the Middle East. And it's in part because of her work and her interests that we began to collaborate with Al-Ula. Those conversations began in 2012, 2022, 2023. Those discussions with our colleagues in Al-Ula, the Royal Commission of Al-Ula, began in 2022, 2023. And they've centered on what I think is a really interesting and promising and important project. Which will focus on Dedan, the ancient site. Al-Ula, as you will know, is a terribly interesting site with, of course, an immensely important Nabatean site to the north, but also a less well-known but really important ancient site, Dedan, a little bit to the south. And what we intend to do with our Saudi partners is design an exhibition organized around a monumental statue that has been excavated recently in Dedan to do conservation research, conservation science, understand how the statue came to be, where it was located on the site, how it was used and then reused. But we also intend to understand better how that site, ancient Dedan, evolved over time and related to the town of Al-Ula. And so this project will culminate in an exhibition that will take place probably in 2029. And between now and 2029, we'll be doing exchanges, collaborative research, exhibition design, learning from our Saudi colleagues as they learn from us. So it's an important addition to what we have done in the past in bringing the extraordinary pre-Islamic legacy of Saudi Arabia to the American public, but at the same time, it promises all sorts of important new discoveries about the statue, about the site, but also how to put together exhibitions which are really compelling and tell stories over millennia and which leverage technology.